We seem to be living in a time when religious cults are spreading all across the country. A particularly colorful group, often seen dancing and chanting in the streets of the major cities of this country, New York and Chicago and Detroit and Pittsburgh, is called the Hare Krishna movement. Because their names are extremely difficult to pronounce, I'm going to ask my guests to introduce themselves. What is your name?
My name is Rupanuga. Anuga means follower, and Rupa Goswami is a great acharya or spiritual teacher in our line. So that means I follow Rupa Goswami.
Right. And yes, ma'am.
My name is Kalindi. It's one of Krishna's favorite rivers.
Right.
My name is Yogeswara Das. That means I'm a servant of Kṛṣṇa, who is a master of all mystic powers.
My name is Bharadraj Das. There's another name of the Supreme Lord, and I'm his servant.
My name is Rukmini.
A little louder.
Rukmini.
Rukmini.
And she is, I'm servant of Krishna's wife, Rukmini.
A servant of Krishna's wife. Okay.
And my name is Mangamaya Das. And Mangamaya means full of auspiciousness.
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 Right.
My name is Jayadvaita Das. Jaya means victory. And Advaita means the devotee who requested the Supreme Lord to come to this world and spread this chanting.
Right.
My name is Satsvarupa Das. That means God has an eternal form that doesn't die, and I'm his servant.
Right.
My name is Yogamaya Dasi. Yogamaya is the internal potency of Krishna. Krishna has different energies. The external potency is the inferior energy, and the internal is the superior energy. That's Yogamaya. And I'm the servant of this potency. Of this energy.
You're the servant of this potency.
Well, yes, it's Krishna displays himself in different energies, and everything on the absolute platform is equal. It's all absolute, and it's all actually spiritual. So this is his spiritual energy, Yogamaya.
Yes, sir.
My name is Bhagavan Das. Bhagavan refers to the fact that God is full of opulence, and Das means servant.
You're a servant of opulence.
Servant of one who possesses all opulence.
Right. Now, what instrument do you have there, and for what purpose?
This is called harmonium.
Right.
And its instrument is used in kirtan. Kirtan means joyous singing to glorify the Lord.
Right. Let's see what that's like. be back in 1 minute. What is your movement all about? Are you Americans?
Yes.
Are you?
We were born here in the United States.
And you had another religion once?
Not all of us were born here in the United States, but most of us.
You were Catholic or Protestant?
Yes.
Or something? And what made you disillusioned about that religion? And what made you come to Krishna?
Because Kṛṣṇa gives us a taste that satisfies us. It makes us happy chanting Hare Krishna.
But what does it do in productive terms? I mean, you sing and dance in the streets. To what purpose?
To inform people, to remind people about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. In this age, everyone is forgetful of God. It's a godless age. And people come into the material world in the first place to forget God.
But shouldn't you serve God by functioning, by growing crops, by doing something purposeful?
Well, the main
Does God
thing...
mean you to sing
But
and
we
dance
are
in the
doing
street?
something.
We are raising
root-
crops.
The root of
What are you
all
doing?
problem, the root of all problem, the lack of foodstuff, the war and the strife and the hypocrisy that exists in the world today is a lack of God consciousness. So simply if you cure the disease in Biafra, then you have a Pakistan. After
Right.
you have a Pakistan, you have something else. So therefore there's no cure, no material cure to the problem.
What
The
do you
cure is spiritual.
What do you stand for? I know you don't eat meat, fish, eggs. You don't gamble. You don't believe in sex, except on a very limited basis. You don't believe in intoxicants. You don't take tea or drugs or coffee. What does that add up to? What purposeful, what thing do you
It
produce?
purifies
Or,
us.
huh?
It purifies us.
But now you're purified for what purpose?
In
To
order
love
to
God.
preach.
To love God.
To love Krishna. Because Krishna is the supreme pure.
Couldn't you love God as a Catholic or a Protestant or a
Yes,
Jew?
you can.
But why didn't you do it in those terms?
I don't know. But Krishna has come, and its message of Krishna has come, and its movement has come so pure that it is changing the faces of all the youth all over
Well,
the
how
world.
did Krishna's message come to you? You bought a book?
A spiritual master.
No, you were. What were you doing when Krishna came to you?
I was playing harmonica in a blues band.
And one night you were playing, and where did Krishna appear?
I was playing in an opening of a temple because I wanted to do some good. We were doing everything for nothing. And so by chance I happened to play for an opening of the temple in Montreal.
The Jewish temple?
No, Radha Krishna temple.
Radha Krishna.
Universal temple, temple of love of God. They needed some money in order to help.
At that
get the
time you
place
were
going.
Protestant?
No.
What were you? Atheist?
Yeah.
Atheist.
And so I played, and they were chanting. They said, let's chant. And so
The
we
way
chanted.
they chanted now?
Just now.
Something about that chant enlisted you?
I didn't know at the time, but it stayed with me for 2 years.
Why? I watched it, and it seemed like another form of revivalism or something.
Well, we are revived.
Yes, that's a correct description, but it's not limited in its definition. When we chant Hare Krishna, this is not any kind of an artificial imposition on anyone. By nature, we are all spiritual living beings, but because we come in contact with material nature, therefore this original consciousness is covered, and as a result, we're constantly engaged in waging a hard struggle for existence against this material nature. But that original dormant Krishna or God consciousness can be revived by this chanting of Hare Krishna. This is the
Why?
recommended
How?
means.
This chanting is spiritual sound, and because we're spiritual beings, it's attractive to our soul as well as to our ear. When we hear mundane sound vibrations, our ears pick it up, and it sounds pleasant or unpleasant.
Do you feel euphoria?
Oh, yes. It's called transcendental bliss or transcendental ecstasy.
Were you in bliss? I was watching you.
Yes, this is a much higher ecstasy than any material pleasure that you can experience because it's ever increasing. It gets nicer all the time. As you chant Hare Krishna, the more you chant, the more you want to chant.
Why is that ecstasy producing?
Because you're being put in direct association with God. God is actually present in His name. God incarnates in many, many different forms, millions of different forms. And this is the sound incarnation of God. God invests all of His energies in His name. He's non-different from His name. If we have names, you're David. If I call you David, you're different. Your body is different from David, the person. You're different from your name. But God is not different from His name. And He's not impersonal. We don't call Him just God. We call Him by His name, just as we don't call you man. We call you David Susskind or Mr. Susskind. So we call God Kṛṣṇa because that's His name. That's one of His names.
There are people who called Him Jesus, people who called Him Buddha, people who call Him Mohammed.
These are incarnations.
We're saying that people should call Him.
He has millions of names.
But why couldn't you call Him through the religions of your birth?
You can.
But you didn't.
Right, because no one's teaching us to do that.
Didn't your father and mother teach you?
No.
Your priest?
No.
No?
Well, we're preaching that. We say...
Well, how did you come to it?
You
once had...
I can explain it to you.
Looked like everyone else.
Right. That's why when we speak, we always offer respects to our spiritual master. Because originally, we're in the darkness of ignorance, and he comes with the torchlight of knowledge and opens our eyes. We're thinking... Krishna. Our spiritual master means the person who's a representative of Krishna, who comes and preaches the message of Krishna.
Where did you meet him?
In New York City.
Where?
Well, at the temple there. I came to the temple. First we have many records, and I heard a record by our spiritual master. And I would just chant. I was working for my father in a store, and I'd push boxes around and chant Hare Krishna. And
he must have been very upset.
No, because I was working nicely.
Did he know what you were doing?
No, because even I didn't know what I was doing.
Did he say, "What are you doing, son? You're singing strange"?
No, I just chat softly to myself.
Did you cut your hair?
No.
Did you paint your?
No, that was later.
Later.
Because by chanting, of course, later I gave up working, and so many things happened.
How do you eat?
Excuse me, now?
Yeah.
Well, we eat at our temple. We offer all our food to Krishna, and then we take the remnants. We collect donations from people.
Any of you work?
Some of us, yes. We have people who are accountants. We have people who are electrical engineers.
You go to work with this costume?
No. Most of us are not. We don't go to work. We go out chanting, and we go out preaching to people. But please, don't forget God. Remember your relationship with God. Chant the name of God.
That's an important part of the social body. Just like you have a body, there's also a social body. The head of that body is considered the priestly class of people who instruct the others about offering everything back to God. It's a basic principle of one who is spiritual. He understands nothing is his. As soon as you claim something is yours, whether it's your watch, or your shoes,
your wife?
Or your wife,
your wife is
or
not
your
yours.
child, it is Krishna's. I am Krishna's and you are Krishna's.
Is your wife your wife?
My wife is Krishna's.
Is your child yours?
Everything belongs to God. You can't substantiate your claim.
Well, then what is your relationship to your wife and child?
We're all serving Krishna.
What does that mean?
It's one of love. It's one of love. But that love is not ill-founded. Krishna is at the center, therefore that love endures. I think if you look at the statistics, you'll find that today most relationships terminate rather quickly. And even if they're prolonged, at most they can last till the end of one lifetime.
Actually, love is based on the spirit soul. When someone's lying dead, his mother's crying over him, John is gone, John is gone, my boy is gone. So that means she's loving the spirit.
The body's still there, but John is gone.
So in our families...
Well, you marry, you do marry, so you two are married.
We're married.
Right, so you did take one to the other. You did have a...
But in Krishna consciousness.
What does that mean?
That means that we married in order to better facilitate our serving Krishna.
That is in everyone's interest.
Did you date before you married?
No, we met in the temple.
Well, does one go on a date? You know date. Did you go to a movie?
We have movies made by devotees about our spiritual master.
Did you hold hands?
No, it wasn't necessary. The idea is...
We desire to... We know what our responsibilities are, you see.
No, but how did you know you should marry?
Before we plunge into this marriage is not based...
Did somebody ordain the marriage?
Yes, our spiritual master.
Who's your spiritual master?
His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the founder of this movement.
This chap, this holiness ordained your marriage. He called you and said, I want you to marry this woman.
Well,
He said it would be a perfect marriage.
How did he know? Had you ever met?
Yes.
we met just a little while before we met.
Do you go through any...
Courtship?
Courtship, yes, thank you.
No.
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 He said marry, so you married.
Well, more or less. No one is forced to marry.
Could you have said no?
We could have
sir?
said no,
We accept
but we
his
had some
authority.
desire to be married.
We accept his
I think what
authority.
we're trying to get at is this, that the marriages that take place in Krishna consciousness aren't based on one's attraction for the other in terms of common interest or sex life or something like that. Of course,
Shouldn't
you read
they
the same
be?
books. Well, if you want it to be a short relationship, that's fine.
If, they
In
will,
Krishna
if that's
consciousness,
the case, they'll be temporary, but actually,
Why
everyone...
will they be eternal?
Well, we're all eternal as it is. You see, we all are eternal living beings, spirit souls. These are simply temporary bodies. So we don't marry for some temporary bodily relationship. We marry to help each other become more Krishna conscious, more consciousness, have more consciousness of God. And then when the body drops, that's just the beginning, actually, because we can change these bodies into another material body. We can take a spiritual body. It's not difficult.
if
It
you
depends
really
on what
love
we
someone,
want.
you'll help them find
You
out
will
what
have
they
a
are.
child when he bids you to?
Well, Yogaswara made a very nice point just now, that if you really love someone, then you'll help them become really happy and find out who they are. Just like you asked at the beginning, well, what do your parents think of this? Well, my parents say they love me. So because they see that I'm becoming very happy, then they're very pleased. Because they know that previously wasn't.
But could this be another phase that you're in?
It could be, but we've all, just like Rupanuga Prabhu has been chanting Hare Krishna for over 4 years. I've been chanting for 3.5 years. So many devotees here for such a long time. And we're feeling, rather than a decrease, rather than some stagnation, we're feeling ever-increasing transcendental bliss. Ever-increasing bliss.
Please don't take us as a sect. This applies to everyone, these things we're talking about, that we're going...
Why do you paint this thing on the front?
Because it marks us as devotees of Krishna. The whole thing is to remind our brothers and sisters, just as you are a brother, brotherly love is based on the fact that God is our Father. We want to remind everyone of the relationship to the one God. So we're preachers. This dress, this marking, is all to remind you, oh, there goes a Krishna person. And then he has to think of his own relationship to Krishna or God.
What is the tuft of hair? Could you... Each of you has a little...
Yes, this is called a sika. This is done for the pleasure of our spiritual master. It's the same thing. Spiritual markings to make one understand that here's a devotee and I can ask him about my relationship to God. Because when one dresses like this, it means that 24 hours he's serving Krishna and trying to spread this very nice
Aren't you
consciousness.
over-dressing to explain yourselves to God? I mean, with the little thing of hair and the paint down the front.
God, no, he knows very well, but
doesn't the average civilian walking down the street reading the Daily News? Or
he doesn't know about
Chicago
Krishna.
Tribune?
What does he see in the Chicago Tribune? Birth, death, disease, old age. Then he looks up and he sees a devotee, and there's Krishna.
It's quite a sight. We'll be back in a minute. This is the food. This is the food of Hare Krishna. What is it?
Different things. This is different preparations that we prepare at our temple, offer to Krishna. This is called papadums, and these are simply wonderfuls named by our spiritual master. He said, you eat them and you will become wonderful. And this is a vegetable called upma. Why don't you try some? It's very delicious.
Okay. All right.
Puri's nice.
That's lovely. Yeah.
Take something else?
I don't want to overdo it. Is this a...
Simply wonderful.
You eat this stuff all the time?
On Sunday we have a special feast at our center. In every city all over the world there's a beautiful love feast, it's called, and we distribute this prasadam.
This is what you'd have on a wedding feast or something?
Yeah, Sunday we're having a beautiful wedding, and
Maybe you can come.
we'll have a
We're gonna
lovely
have a
feast
double
like
Oh, I'd love to, but I have a previous booking. Tell me, how do you live? What's your day like? When do you get up in the morning?
very early, because I get up at 3 in the morning.
Why?
Different people, different times. But that's, our spiritual masters instructed us, Srila Prabhupada, that's the best time for self-realization.
3 o'clock in the morning?
Yes.
Actually, happiness is to be awake. It's just like if you're
You set an
asleep,
alarm,
you're missing out on so many things.
How do you get up at 3? Does your body
used to.
wake up?
Yes,
Go
the
to
body
sleep
can
at
be
9.
adjusted.
Practice, just practice.
This is simply wonderful. This,
Simply
Simply
wonderful.
wonderful.
you get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, right, and the whole city's dark. What do you do?
We chant.
We chant Hare Krishna.
At 3 o'clock in the morning, you
Yes.
chant?
Well, first we bathe, and then we chant. We go to the temple immediately.
You bathe first.
We bathe first,
How many times a day do you bathe?
twice a day.
It's a, sort of a cleaning fetish.
Well, cleanliness is next to godliness.
All right, you leave yourself open for those. And then you you get up and you take a bath, and then you eat some of this, do you?
Well, after a while, but we have a very beautiful program at each of our temples.
You go to the temple right away?
Yeah, we have a ceremony called Archik, which is worshiping the Lord. Archik means to receive the Lord. So we all chant at this Arti ceremony and play nice instruments like this harmonium, mridanga, the drums you saw, and nice kartals. It's very beautiful, very early in the morning.
And we study. We have very nice books, literatures, the Krishna book, the Srimad Bhagavatam. We study the pastimes of God. This is a specific contribution of our movement, that we are explaining to the world what God looks like, what he is doing, who his associates are.
What does he look
everything.
like? What does God look like?
Behind me.
He's lakes and ducks and...
Right.
Hold him up.
That's the spiritual world. We have descriptions in our literature of the spiritual world.
Right. And who are his associates? Animals and
All of
flowers?
his pure devotees.
All his pure devotees. He has a family. You see, everything in this material world is a reflection of the spiritual world. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has a mother, a father, he has a brother, he has friends, servants. Everything that we see here is simply a reflection of that. It's temporary. That's why the love in this material world is temporary. Actual love means without end, continuous.
Why do you have to get up at 3 in the morning
Well,
to
those
do your
hours,
devotions?
those hours are called the most auspicious hours of the day. You know, the best and hours and the most conducive for spiritual realization.
What
So it's
time do you go to sleep?
9:30.
9:30 at night.
Yes.
We don't even like to go to sleep. Two of the greatest spiritual masters in our line used to forget to go to sleep. They were so much in love with Krishna. They forget to eat sometimes. We're so busy in the material world trying to sleep. We think sleep is recreation, but we think sleeping is death. We want to be awake, wide awake, and conscious of Krishna all the time.
Therefore, this chanting in the street, people are asleep. We're trying to wake them up.
When you don't eat.
Take some more.
No. No. I mean, it's delicious, but I'm full, I think. That threw me for a minute. Oh, what do you don't eat meat?
No.
You're vegetarians.
Only vegetable foodstuffs. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, offer me a leaf, some fruit, some water. And he
But
says,
you also don't have fish.
No fish either. It's also meat.
Is-
And Krishna says, if you offer these foodstuffs to me with love, he says, I will accept it. And so that's why this foodstuff is called prasadam. And prasadam means mercy of the Lord. Because Krishna says, anyone who eats something without offering it to me first, that person is a thief. So we offer the food to Krishna first, and then he takes. Not that he needs it, but we offer it to him with love. And then we take the remnants. And that is
right.
called
You
mercy
also
of the
have
Lord.
no stimulants or intoxicants.
No,
right?
if you're chanting Hare Krishna, that's the highest. That's the highest type of intoxicant, love of God.
Yeah, well, forget whiskey and all that, but what about tea and coffee?
That's also intoxicant. A little quick, pick me up.
What's the value?
Would you have a Coca-Cola?
No.
How does it add to our God consciousness? That's our criteria for doing anything. Chanting Hare Krishna adds
Why
to
do
your
you
God
want Coke
consciousness.
if you have such nice, simply wonderfuls? You know, you don't even desire it. That's the philosophy, that by experiencing a higher taste, you forget about the lower taste. So we've all given up smoking cigarettes, so many things, because we're tasting something sweeter.
We're not
It's just like-
renunciates. We're not giving up the world. We're not ascetics. We simply are developing a higher taste, so we can give up these things. You see, if I say to you, stop smoking, David, now you stop.
Right.
You just say, all right, no, I'll stop smoking today. and never again. But what's going to happen within a week or two, you'll just maybe change your brand, but you'll be smoking. But if you develop a higher taste, you have no desire to smoke. See, we have no desire to eat meat. We have no desire to smoke cigarettes. We have no desire for these things. Because
Do you have any desires?
Yes.
No.
Our desires are always fulfilled. Because our desires are fulfilled by Kṛṣṇa directly, not indirectly. We don't want to have indirect relationship with God. We want to be fully conscious of God and serve Him.
Did God anywhere say don't eat fish or don't eat meat? Or?
It's there in the
Jesus
scriptures.
Christ said, "Thou shalt not kill." That was one
He
of
didn't
His
put the
commandments.
qualification on it.
But we
meant
have said
everyone.
we have said we shouldn't kill people. But why should we kill animals?
How can you
We
kill?
have fruits
It's like
and
if you have a
vegetables.
nice plate like this and a cow here, what would you do? Would you kill the cow or would you eat that food?
I'd go right for the cow.
For the milk.
I mean-
hopefully. Well, you don't have to kill the cow to take the milk. Why cause the animal pain? Why? Do you have to chop a tree down to get the apple? No. You can take the fruit that God is providing. He's providing this light, even. He's providing everything. But we're taking...
No, that's consolidated Edison.
That's
Where did
coming
they
from
get
the
it?
sun. It's coming from the sun. The sun's coming from Kṛṣṇa. It's all coming from Kṛṣṇa. Everything is emanating from Kṛṣṇa. So all we're doing, one little trick we've learned to be happy, that we accept, joyfully we accept, because it's Kṛṣṇa's mercy, but we give back because it's His. Because
There's a
we're
very
servants.
interesting example that you just gave when you said that this light is coming from Con Edison. That's the point of this movement. To change the vision which people have from one of material consciousness or consciousness of simply what their senses are dictating to them to one which is tempered by knowledge coming down through the line of teachers, of spiritual
What
masters.
is material knowledge? We say we know what the sun is made of, right, David? Right here, on this Earth planet, there's all the ingredients for the sun, right? So why don't we make one? A little tiny one, just to float over the New York area and light up the night. Because we don't we're
Would
blessed.
that dish of foodstuffs, would that
That would
be...
aid you.
Yeah.
Because you are what you eat.
You are what you eat. I've
Certainly.
read that, yes.
So this is spiritual foodstuff. So similarly, by taking spiritual foodstuff
Would that be a typical dinner?
On Sunday.
on
This is
Sunday,
Sunday.
because
We eat
during the
something
week
Sunday.
we eat very simply.
That's a feast?
Yes, isn't it?
Take some vegetables, try
No. We'll be back. We'll be back in a minute. Okay. All right. If you would just contain your ecstasy for a minute or two, I just wanted to ask you a couple of questions. Do you live in what would probably be described to the rest of us as a commune?
Yes. Ashram. Ashram means it's a center for spiritual life.
But it's a communal...
Depends what you mean. If I
Do you all live together?
Yes.
We have about 120 living there now. Under any other conditions, if you took people who didn't know each other from all different backgrounds and put them in this one big place, you'd have chaos. But we have a very nicely organized, well-run, wonderful community where everyone gets along because it's God-centered.
Is it run democratically? Do you vote on
No,
things?
It's all volunteer.
All voluntary.
Yeah. But there's authority, and the authority is coming from our spiritual master.
Right, but is there a leader of the group and a sub-leader and
Yes.
a deputy? and so-
president of the temple.
You are president of the temple. What you say goes.
Well,
you say
I-
you do the dishes, you clean up, you...
Yes, for organizational purposes, we have leaders like that.
Right.
Here's the thing. Commune.
Now-
When you say commune, you mean a convenient social arrangement for everyone's gratification of their temporary senses, of their body.
I didn't think I meant that.
Well,
I guess you're right.
You know, when
All
you
right.
talk when you talk about the hippie communes or
Right.
Haight Street, that's what we mean.
You're a structured commune.
Well,
Not
and our
only
structure.
that.
Here's the thing: the center of our commune is Kṛṣṇa,
Right.
and the orders are Kṛṣṇa. Kṛṣṇa says, "Offer me a leaf, flower." We're doing it. He tells us who cooks it, but we do it according to what Kṛṣṇa says, and we offer it to Kṛṣṇa.
If the whole world could live like this, then there would be peace and
Now,
there'd be
does Krishna
prosperity.
dictate the cutting of the hair this way?
Yes.
The painting of the face?
Yes.
But it's
The
not
parts
for
of the
everyone.
body?
It's not for everyone, understand.
No.
It's not that we're proposing that every man shave his head, that every man not work at a job, but simply the Krishna consciousness should be added. The consciousness that everything is coming from Krishna, so everything should be used for Krishna.
Where do you get the money to pay the food bill of this?
Krishna.
Krishna. He sends money.
Yes, Krishna sent us a nice incense business.
Krishna sends you incense. You burn incense and sell it?
Yes, that's
I
right.
see. Now, marriages and arrangements, you order those? You're the leader?
The basic principle is compatibility.
You ordered these two to be married?
No, but you see, when two devotees desire to get married, the desire to get married is based on their vision. They see each other as fellow servants, not as simply sense objects for each other, but as fellow servants. And if they desire to get married, they ask permission, and then there's a discussion as to why, to make sure everyone understands why.
Who do they ask permission of? You?
They ask permission from our spiritual master.
Who is that?
Srila Prabhupada, here.
Oh, yes. He's where, in Brooklyn?
No, right now he's in India after traveling around the world again.
How do you get word to him that you'd like to get married?
By mail.
By mail. He writes back okay?
Yes.
Right.
He was in Brooklyn just a few months ago.
And
Very nice.
did you see him?
Yes.
And he said, fine, you're
We've
made
been
for each
married
other?
a few years.
Right. Well, did he approve of you two?
Yes.
Right. Then what is the procedure? Do you have to talk to your mother and father? What about your parents? Do you see them?
They're invited to the wedding.
They're given
Damn
nice
decent,
garlands.
I must say.
They're given nice garlands like that one.
That garland there.
That's a garland.
Yes.
Right.
My parents
Back
came
on.
from Washington, D.C. when I got here.
Now, you say, I want to get married. He says, oh, okay. Then, under what circumstances would he say no?
Well, he doesn't say no. He says, if you have discussed it nicely and understand why you're getting married, what the purpose of married life is, not simply to raise children in ignorance of the Lord, if you understand what married life means, then you may get married, but with understanding.
A child in Krishna consciousness is raised, is given knowledge, both materially and spiritually.
Are you married?
Yes, I am. I'm married to Vipanuga.
Right. And you got permission from the leader to
We were married before we came to Krishna consciousness.
Oh, I see. You can be married and come to the movement.
Oh, certainly.
Well, the movement's only 5 years old in the United States, so we were all doing a lot of things before.
Right. Now, you can't court in the traditional way. You can't go to a movie or a dance.
We have time.
You have no time.
You can do whatever you want to do.
There are no
That's the
hard and
principle of
fast
the soul.
rules in this process.
You can chant Hare Krishna when you go home tonight.
Who can?
You can.
Everybody.
Can you?
You.
Can you touch? Can you dance? Can you kiss? Can you do any of those things?
We dance, but this dancing is different from that.
Yes,
dance.
it's solo dancing.
We're all dancing
Spiritual
together.
master
with
calls it
Krishna.
real
You're
dancing.
dancing with Krishna.
Dancing with Krishna. Some people are dancing with Maya or illusion, and some people are dancing with Krishna. We are dancing with Krishna.
Not with her.
No.
Well, we're dancing alongside with her, but we're both dancing with Krishna.
And you have to examine what's the result of that dancing.
We dance for the pleasure of the Lord, not for our own pleasure.
Everyone wants to dance
You
with
do
beautiful
anything for your
girls.
own pleasure? Tom?
No,
We chant.
that's not our motivation.
Chant.
The result is that we receive pleasure. By pleasing God, you are automatically pleased. You enjoy along with Him. Just like the servant of a very wealthy millionaire, he lives almost as nicely as the millionaire. He's got his own nice quarters in the house. So if we're serving this the Supreme Lord, we enjoy along with Him. But first we must please His senses because He's the Supreme Person.
I did that research about your movement, and it says that after you've got permission to marry, you do in fact marry, and there's a kind of lovely ceremony that goes on.
Yeah.
Then you don't need permission to have children, but your sexual activities are preordained by this
It's
Krishna.
called family planning. So we plan to have children, not to avoid having children. We want to have children so that we can raise them in Krishna's service.
But when you have children, you have to precede it by 5 hours of chanting.
We're always chanting. We always chant. Like today, we preceded by several hours chanting before we came here.
But a man and woman that says, I'd like to give birth to a child, I'd like to create a family,
And you want to create the best child.
you have 5 hours of conditioning.
Because, just like if you examine it medically,
But couldn't you lose the idea?
no, because the idea, what's the idea? Krishna. The idea is so that you don't lose the idea. The idea is to serve Krishna. By chanting,
But
that service
5
is
hours
perfect.
of singing.
Not singing on beads. You can chant any. There are no hard and fast rules for chanting. But at the end of by chanting for that time, what are you thinking of? Krishna, Krishna, Krishna.
Shouldn't you be thinking of Miriam, Miriam, Miriam?
No.
Not that this chanting is a labor. Not that chanting.
Does Miriam or Martha ever take over from Krishna?
Wait. Let's talk about Miriam for a second. Everybody in the world is very much after sex life because sex life is the highest pleasure in the material.
Well, it's a contender.
Well, until we get too old. But it's very nice place. Now, the thing is that everyone's got plenty of that. Everybody has plenty of sex life, yet no one's happy.
Wait a minute, you can't make categorical statements.
All right, then what is happiness?
What do you mean no one's
What is happiness?
Happiness is a condition of fulfillment or self-realization or pleasure. A feeling of
that never ends.
Happiness, ecstasy.
No, come down.
Oh, sure, you come down.
Oh, no.
That's no longer happiness.
That happiness is
No, that's because there's a different high. We're talking about a spiritual high. You can stay high forever, but you just must chant. Now, if we stop chanting, we would come back down to the material platform. But we don't, because we've learned the secret. So we keep chanting all the time.
Does your wife never say, knock off the chanting and love me?
She says, chant if you love me.
Chant if you love me. Right. Is there a limit on the family that you can have? Can you have as many children?
The limit is that no one should have a child unless he can raise the child to be free from death. We're all heading for death, maybe in a moment or maybe 10 years. But if you can raise your children and yourself, become free of death, this is actually possible by love of God.
When your parents see you, do they see you? Do you maintain contacts with your family?
Sure. As a matter of fact, about 2 weeks ago, my parents came down from Washington, D.C. When I got married, and they were very pleased and they liked it very much.
Your folks came up from Washington and saw you in that gear.
Oh, yes.
And said, terrific, Tom?
Huh? Oh, they liked it. It's a beautiful ceremony. Every parent should feel very fortunate that their child is a devotee. It's very rare, and it's a blessing. It's a blessing.
Is your mother happy with what you've done with your life?
My mother's beginning to understand Krishna consciousness through association.
Through psychiatry, I would think.
Through my association, she can come to know Krishna.
Well, let's wait just a second. Psychiatry. Now, if you go to a psychiatrist, what does he do? He sees that you're upset about being, say, attached to something. So he says, now look, we're going to take you and attach you to that because that's not acceptable by society or your wife or your friends or something or your lover. So we put you over here. Now be attached to that, and you be attached to that, but your anxiety is still there. But what is happening in transcendental psychiatry, which is what we're doing, we're psychotherapists. What we do is we help a person fix their consciousness on a higher platform to Krishna, not just changing from left to right.
Now the people are crossing the streets in Chicago, in Pittsburgh, Detroit, L.A., San Francisco, and they see you. What would you like them to think? Because they think it's a very strange sight. I mean, I have passed you in New York and wondered, what the devil are they doing?
Well, we want them to stop speculating on us and ask us what we're doing. That's our whole business.
And then they say maybe you're cop-outs.
Well, we're drop-ins. We're back in. We're really in. This Hare Krishna movement is the in thing, and we're simply asking that every intelligent person take a look at what we're saying. Not to say, oh, you're chanting Hare Krishna, but what's behind it?
But we're not hippies, we're happies.
Oh,
do you want to sing your national anthem? Do you want to do the thing? Because we're about to run out of time.
All right.
Do you want to go into ecstasy? Here we go.
Close the show,